The transport ship landed with a soft hum and Park stepped onto the metal platform of the Galactic Academy of Relations. She took a deep breath, even though the air tasted strange and slightly sweet. Around her, beings of all shapes and sizes moved through the spaceport. Some had scales, some had too many eyes, some floated instead of walking, was the only human. She pulled her small bag closer to her shoulder and started walking toward the main building. Her footsteps echoed on the polished floor. She could feel eyes watching her. Alien eyes, curious eyes. Some looked away quickly when she noticed them. Others stared openly, their expressions impossible to read. Was 19 years old. 6 months ago, she had been working on her family's farm in a small village in Korea. She had never left Earth before. She had never even left her country before. But then the selection committee had chosen her for the exchange program, and everything changed. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had only made contact with alien life 2 years ago. Most species knew almost nothing about them. Was supposed to change that. She was supposed to show the galaxy what humans were like. The pressure felt heavy on her shoulders. A floating silver sphere appeared in front of her. It spoke in a gentle female voice. "Welcome, Park. I am your personal guide. I will help you find your way around the academy." "Thank you," said quietly. "Your quarters are in Building 7. Your classes begin tomorrow. Would you like me to show you the way?" Nodded. She followed the floating sphere through long hallways and across open courtyards. Everywhere she went, aliens stopped to look at her. She heard whispers in languages she did not understand. Her translator device caught some of the words. "That is the human. So small. Why did they send only one? I heard they come from a death world." Kept her eyes forward and kept walking. Her room was small but comfortable. It had a bed, a desk, and a window that looked out at the stars. Sat on the bed and finally let herself relax. Her hands were shaking slightly. She had not noticed until now. Her communication device beeped. She pressed the button and a familiar face appeared on the screen. It was her liaison officer back on Earth. "You made it," he said with a warm smile. He was a few years older than her with kind eyes and a calm voice. "How are you feeling?" "Scared," she admitted. "Everyone is so different here, and they all look at me like I am some kind of strange animal." Nodded. "That is normal. You are the first human they have ever seen in person. Give them time. Give yourself time too. What if I make a mistake? What if I do something wrong and they think all humans are bad?" "Then you apologize and try again," said simply. "You are not perfect. No one expects you to be. Just be yourself. That is enough." They talked for a few more minutes and then said goodbye. She felt a little better. She looked out the window at the unfamiliar stars and tried to imagine her family looking up at the same sky from Earth. It helped her feel less alone. The next morning walked into her first class. The room was large and round with seats arranged in a circle. About 20 students sat in those seats. They were all different species. Some were tall and thin. Some were short and wide. One looked like a pile of moving rocks. Another seemed to be made entirely of light. Found an empty seat and sat down. The students near her shifted slightly, moving their chairs a little further away. She pretended not to notice. The instructor entered the room. He was tall and with 4 arms and large black eyes. His name was, and he taught fear response psychology. "Good morning, students," said. His voice clicked and buzzed slightly. "Today we will discuss the role of fear in relations, and tomorrow you will experience it firsthand." The room went very quiet. "Tomorrow," continued, "you will face the Academy's fear beast." A wave of nervous movement passed through the class. Some students made small sounds of distress. Others gripped their desks tightly. "For those who do not know," said, looking directly at, "the fear beast is a genetically engineered creature. It can read your mind and take the form of your deepest fear. Each of you will face it alone. You must stand your ground for 30 seconds. If you succeed, you pass. If you fail, you will receive additional psychological support. After class walked slowly through the courtyard. Her mind was full of questions. What would the fear beast show her? What was she most afraid of? A voice called out behind her, "Human, wait." Turned, a reptilian student approached her. He had green scales and yellow eyes. His name was. "I wanted to warn you," said. His voice was serious. "The fear beast is not a game. It has driven students to madness. Some never recovered. Some had to leave the academy forever." Swallowed hard. "Thank you for telling me." Studied her for a moment. "You seem calm. Are you not afraid?" "I am afraid," said honestly. "But being afraid does not help me right now, so I will be afraid tomorrow when it matters." Made a strange sound that might have been a laugh. "You are an odd creature, human. I hope you survive." He walked away, leaving alone with her thoughts. That night lay in her bed and stared at the ceiling. Sleep would not come. Her mind kept returning to the same questions. What did she fear most? The dark, being alone, failure, death. She thought about her grandmother who had died 3 years ago. She remembered the empty feeling of loss, the way the world had seemed colorless for months afterward. Was that her greatest fear, losing the people she loved? She thought about the academy, about all the alien eyes watching her every move. She thought about making a mistake, about embarrassing humanity, about proving that humans did not belong among the stars. So many fears, so many possibilities. Outside her window, the stars turned slowly as the station moved through space. Somewhere out there, Earth was spinning too. Her family was sleeping. Her mother was probably dreaming about the harvest. Her father was probably snoring loudly. Smiled at the thought, then the smile faded. Tomorrow she would face her fears. Tomorrow she would find out what kind of person she really was. She closed her eyes and tried to sleep. In the darkness behind her eyelids, something waited. She did not know what it was yet, but she would find out soon enough. The fear beast was waiting for her. The fear chamber was located deep beneath the academy. Followed her classmates through long corridors and down several elevators. The air grew colder as they descended. The walls changed from polished metal to rough stone. It felt like entering a cave. The chamber itself was massive. It was a round arena, at least 50 meters across, with high walls and a domed ceiling. The students gathered on an observation deck that looked down into the arena. In the center of the arena was a containment field, a shimmering wall of blue energy. Something moved inside it, something dark. Could not see the fear beast clearly. It seemed to shift and change, never holding one shape for long. One moment it looked like smoke. The next moment it looked like teeth. The next moment it was just darkness. "Students," instructor said, his voice echoing in the chamber, "today you will face your deepest fears. This is not a test of strength. It is a test of understanding. To work with other species, you must first understand yourself. You must know what frightens you and why." A large, bear-like alien named raised his paw. "What happens if we cannot stand for 30 seconds? Then you will be removed from the chamber and given time to recover," said. "There is no shame in fear, only in refusing to face it." Looked at the other students. Most of them seemed nervous. Some were trembling. The floating jellyfish-like being called was glowing in strange colors, which had learned meant extreme anxiety. "We will go in alphabetical order by species," announced. He began calling names. The first student was a small, furry creature from a species did not recognize. It entered the chamber through a side door. The containment field flickered and opened slightly, allowing the fear beast to emerge. The beast flowed toward the student like water. Then it changed. It grew larger, darker. It became a shape that could not quite see clearly, but the student could. The furry creature screamed. It fell to its knees and covered its eyes, called for removal after only 8 seconds. The next student lasted 15 seconds. The one after that lasted 22. None of them reached 30. watched each student face their fears. She watched enter the chamber with his head held high. The beast became endless darkness for him, a void without light or sound. Stood frozen, his yellow eyes wide. At 27 seconds he collapsed, so close but not enough. Was called next. The big bear-like alien walked into the chamber with heavy steps. When the beast approached him, it changed into something unexpected. It became another member of his species, an older female. She looked at with sad eyes and spoke words that could not hear from the observation deck. Began to cry, great tears rolled down his fur. He fell to his knees and reached out toward the image. "Mother," he said, "I am sorry, I am so sorry." He lasted only 12 seconds before the emotion overwhelmed him. Floated into the chamber next. The jellyfish being was already glowing with fear colors. When the beast approached, it became something horrible. It became itself, but wrong. The image showed dissolving, falling apart, its body coming undone piece by piece. Screamed in a frequency that hurts ears. It fled from the chamber after only 5 seconds. One by one, the students faced their fears. One by one, they failed. The longest anyone lasted was 28 seconds. Most collapsed much sooner. Finally called the last name, Human Park. The observation deck went silent. Every eye turned to look at her, stood slowly. Her legs felt weak, but she forced them to move. "Good luck," said quietly as she passed him. His eyes were still red from crying. Walked down the stairs and through the side door. The arena felt even larger from ground level. The containment field hummed softly in front of her. Inside, the beast waited. She took her position in the center of the arena. The floor was cold under her feet. The air smelled like metal and something else, something old and strange. "Begin," voice echoed from above. The containment field opened. The fear beast emerged. It was larger than had expected. It moved like liquid shadow flowing across the floor toward her. As it got closer, it began to change. It cycled through forms rapidly, searching for something. Fire, felt a flash of heat but no deep fear. Water rising to drown her. Her heart beat faster, but she did not panic. Heights falling endlessly. Spiders, snakes, darkness. None of them felt right. None of them touched her deepest fear. The beast seemed confused. It circled her, trying form after form, stood still and watched it. Her heart was pounding, but her mind was strangely calm. Then the beast stopped. It grew very still, and it began to shrink. On the observation deck leaned forward. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Someone check the readings." "The beast is changing," a technician reported. "It is taking a stable form, but it is not attacking." The beast had become something small. It was dark, about the size of a large dog. It had 4 legs and a long tail. Its eyes were large and looked almost sad. It reminded of a shadow that had been given shape. The creature looked at her. She looked back at it. And in that moment understood. The beast had searched her mind. It had looked for her deepest fear. And what it found was not a monster or a disaster. It was loneliness. It was the fear of being alone, of being unwanted, of having no one who understood her. The beast had tried to become that fear, but something strange had happened. When it took the form of loneliness, it became lonely too. It became a creature that everyone feared and no one loved. A creature that spent its whole life being run from, screamed at, hated. Felt her eyes grow wet. "You poor thing," she whispered. The beast flinched. It had never heard those words before. Slowly lowered herself to her knees. The beast watched her with its big, sad eyes. It did not attack. It did not grow larger. It just waited. Above, on the observation deck, the aliens watched in stunned silence. The timer had passed 30 seconds long ago. No one moved to end the session. "What is she doing?" someone whispered. "I do not know," another answered. Extended her hand slowly, palm up, the way she used to do with scared animals on her family's farm. The beast looked at her hand. It looked at her face. It made a small sound, almost like a whimper. Then very slowly, it moved closer. The observation deck erupted in gasps and shocked voices, but did not hear them. All her attention was on the small, dark creature in front of her. The fear beast, the terror of the academy, the creature that had broken 1,000 students, lay down at her feet. And it closed its eyes. The observation deck was in chaos. Aliens shouted over each other. Technicians ran between screens, checking readings again and again. Instructor stood frozen, his 4 arms hanging limply at his sides. In all his years of teaching, he had never seen anything like this. Down in the arena remained kneeling. The fear beast lay curled at her feet, its dark body rising and falling with slow breaths. It looked almost peaceful. It looked almost happy. "End the session," finally ordered. His voice was quiet, but everyone heard it. "End it now." The containment field expanded, surrounding the beast once more. But the creature did not want to go back. It lifted its head and looked at with those big, sad eyes. It made a soft sound of protest. "It is okay," said gently. "I will see you again." The beast studied her for a long moment. Then, slowly, it stood and walked back into the containment field. It lay down inside and watched her through the shimmering blue energy. Stood up, her legs felt shaky. The walk back to the observation deck seemed very long. When she arrived, every student stared at her. Some looked confused, some looked amazed, some looked almost afraid. Parks said, "Come with me." He led her to a small room off the main chamber. It was an office of some kind, filled with screens and data charts. Closed the door and turned to face her. "Explain," he said. "What did you do?" Shook her head. "I did not do anything special. The beast tried to scare me, but when it took its form, I just felt sad for it." "Sad for it?" His voice was sharp. "It is a weapon. It is designed to break minds. How can you feel sad for it?" "Because it is lonely," said simply. "Everyone runs from it. Everyone screams and cries and hates it. But that is not the beast's fault. It was made this way. It did not choose to be frightening." Stared at her. His large black eyes reflected her image back at her. "The beast's biological readings," he said slowly, "showed something we have never recorded before. When you spoke to it, when you showed compassion, its stress levels dropped to almost nothing. It entered a calm state that should be impossible for its species. Maybe no one ever tried being kind to it before," said. Was silent for a long time. Then he shook his head. "Go back to your quarters. The director will want to speak with you tomorrow." Word spread through the academy like fire. By evening, everyone knew what had happened. The human had faced the fear beast, and instead of running, she had comforted it. The monster had slept at her feet like a pet. Tried to avoid attention. She went to the dining hall for a quick meal, but every table grew quiet when she entered. She took her food back to her room and ate alone. Later that night, someone knocked on her door. Opened it to find and standing in the hallway. "May we come in?" asked. Stepped aside. The 2 aliens entered her small room, had to duck his large head to fit through the doorway. "We wanted to thank you," said, "and to ask you something." "Thank me for what?" "For showing us that fear does not have to win," said. His deep voice was gentle. "I cried like a baby in there. I saw my mother and I fell apart, but you stayed strong." "I was not strong," said. "I was just different. The beast could not find what I feared most, or maybe it found something that made it afraid too." Tilted his head. "What do you mean?" Sat on her bed. The 2 aliens found places to sit as well, on the floor and on the sturdy desk chair. "When I was young," began, "my grandmother got very sick. She could not leave her bed. Every day after school, I would sit with her and tell her about my day. She could not speak much, but she would hold my hand and smile." She paused, remembering. The room was very quiet. "When she died, I felt like part of me disappeared. For months, I had nightmares about being alone. I would wake up crying, reaching for someone who was not there anymore. So your greatest fear is loneliness, said. Yes, and when the beast tried to become my fear, it became lonely too. It became a creature that everyone avoids, a creature that spends its whole life alone, feared and hated. Made a low sound, so you saw yourself in it. I saw what it felt like to be unwanted, said, and I could not be afraid of something that felt the same pain I felt. The three of them sat in silence. Outside the window, strange moons moved slowly across the sky. Humans are very strange, finally said. I thought you were weak. You are small, you have no claws, no venom, no armor, but you have something else. What is that? I do not know the word for it, admitted. The ability to see pain in others and want to help, even when those others are frightening. We call it compassion, said, or empathy. It is not special, most humans have it. Shook his large head. If most humans are like you, then your species is more dangerous than we thought, not because you might hurt us, but because you might make us care about things we never cared about before. Smiled, is that a bad thing? I do not know yet, said, but he smiled back. After her visitors left, lay in bed and thought about the fear beast. She wondered if it was sleeping in its containment field. She wondered if it was lonely. She wondered if it remembered the feeling of her hand reaching toward it. The next morning, when she walked to the director's office, she took a detour. She went down to the fear chamber. The guards looked nervous when they saw her, but they did not stop her. She walked to the edge of the containment field. The beast was inside, curled up in the corner. When it sensed her presence, it lifted its head. Knelt down, putting herself at eye level with the creature. Good morning, she said softly. The beast made a small sound. It stood up and walked to the edge of the field, as close to her as it could get. Its tail moved slowly back and forth. I do not know what will happen now, told it, but I want you to know that you are not alone anymore. I see you, and I am not afraid. The beast pressed its nose against the containment field. The blue energy crackled softly. Placed her hand on the field, matching the position of the beast's nose. They stayed like that for a long moment. I will come back, she promised. I will visit you every day. The beast made another soft sound. If did not know better, she would say it sounded almost happy. She stood up and walked toward the director's office. Behind her, the fear beast watched her go. It did not lie down again. It kept watching until she was out of sight. Then, very slowly, it curled up against the side of the containment field where she had stood. And it waited for her to return. Director was unlike any being had ever seen. The director seemed to be made of light and mist, a shape that shifted and flowed like a slow river. When spoke, the voice came from everywhere at once. Park, the director said, please sit. Sat in the chair provided. The director's office was large and mostly empty. The walls showed views of distant galaxies. The floor seemed to be made of glass, and below it, stars drifted slowly past. I have reviewed the recordings from the fear chamber, said. I have read every report, and I still do not understand what happened. I am not sure I understand it either, admitted. The fear beast has been part of this academy for over 300 years, continued. In that time, it has tested more than 50,000 students. Not once has it responded the way it did with you. Not once has it become calm. Maybe no one ever tried to understand it before. Many have tried, researchers, psychologists. They wanted to learn how it worked, how to control it better, but none of them ever reached it. None of them ever made it peaceful. Floated closer. Even this close could not tell what the director really looked like. It was like trying to see the shape of water. Tell me about humans, said. Tell me how you think. Thought carefully before answering. Humans are afraid of many things. We are small compared to many species. We have no natural weapons. On our planet, we were hunted by predators for most of our history. So you should be a species ruled by fear. We were for a long time, but something changed. We learned that being afraid was not enough to survive. We had to work together. We had to protect each other. And sometimes we had to protect things that seemed dangerous. Explain. Leaned forward. On Earth there were animals called wolves. They were predators. They hunted our ancestors. They killed our people. We should have feared them forever. But you did not. Some of us did, but others saw something different. They saw that wolves lived in families just like us. They cared for their young just like us. They were loyal to their pack just like us. So instead of only fearing them, some humans tried to understand them. Was silent, waiting. Over thousands of years, we formed a partnership with wolves. We fed them. We sheltered them. They helped us hunt. They protected our homes. They became dogs, our closest companions. We turned our greatest fear into our best friend. Remarkable, said softly. You saw yourselves in your predators. We saw that fear is not the end of a story. It is the beginning. What matters is what you do with that fear. Do you run? Do you fight? Or do you try to understand? A soft chime interrupted them, turned toward the door. Enter. A human man walked in. He was middle-aged, with graying hair and kind eyes behind round glasses. He wore a simple uniform with Earth's flag on the shoulder. Director, he said, bowing slightly, I am Dr. Bay from Earth. I was sent to investigate the incident. Welcome, Dr. Bay. Please join us. Dr. Bay sat in the chair next to. He gave her a warm smile. You have caused quite a stir, Miss Park. The transmission of what happened in the fear chamber has reached Earth. Everyone is talking about it. Felt her face grow warm. I did not mean to cause trouble. You did not cause trouble. You created a mystery, and scientists love mysteries. Dr. Bay turned to the director. I have studied the biological data you sent. What happened in that chamber should be impossible. The fear beast was designed to be unstoppable. Its psychological attack is based on pure survival instinct. No known species should be able to resist it, let alone comfort it. And yet the human did, said. Because humans are different, Dr. Bay explained. Our brains evolved in unusual ways. We developed something called cognitive empathy. We can not only feel our own emotions, but we can imagine the emotions of others, even when those others are very different from us. Other species have empathy, pointed out. Yes, but human empathy works in unique ways. We can feel empathy for things that want to hurt us. We can look at a predator and feel sorry for it. We can face a monster and see a frightened child. Our empathy overrides our fear in ways that other species cannot understand. Consider this. You are saying that humans are not brave. They simply feel too much for others to be properly afraid. Something like that, Dr. Bay agreed. When Miss Park looked at the fear beast, she did not just see a monster. She saw a lonely creature that had never known kindness, and her brain prioritized that loneliness over her own fear. The room fell silent. Outside the glass floor, a comet drifted past, its tail glowing bright blue. There is another matter, said finally. The fear beast has refused to return to normal operations. Looked up, what do you mean? Since your visit this morning, it has remained calm. It has not shifted forms. It has not attempted to frighten anyone. It simply waits. The guards say it watches the door as if expecting someone. It is waiting for me, said. That is my concern. The Galactic Council has heard about this incident. They are sending representatives to observe. They want to understand what happened and what it means for the future. Dr. Bay frowned. The Council, this is an academy matter, not a political one. The fear beast was developed by Council researchers. It was supposed to be a tool for understanding fear across all species. If a single human can neutralize it, the Council wants to know why, and they want to know if it can be replicated. Felt a cold knot form in her stomach. They want to use me as an experiment. They want to observe you, said carefully. What happens after that depends on what they see. When left the director's office, she found and waiting in the hallway, floated nearby, glowing in soft colors. "We heard the council is coming," said. "This is serious." "I know." "The council does not care about feelings or kindness," warned. "They care about power and control. If they think humans can neutralize their weapons, they might see you as a threat." "Or as a new weapon," added quietly. Looked at her three friends. Just a few days ago they had been strangers. Now they stood with her, worried for her safety. "I cannot control what the council does," she said, "but I can control what I do. I promised the beast I would visit it every day. I am going to keep that promise." She walked toward the fear chamber. After a moment her friends followed. When she reached the containment field, the beast was already waiting. It pressed against the blue energy, its dark eyes fixed on her. "Hello again," said softly. The beast made a happy sound. Its tail wagged slowly. Behind her made a noise of amazement. "It acts like a pet." "It acts like it found someone who cares," corrected. She placed her hand on the containment field. The beast pressed back. "Whatever happens with the council," she whispered to the creature, "I will not let them hurt you. I promise." The beast closed its eyes and leaned into the field, as close to her hand as it could get. And for the first time in 300 years, the fear beast looked completely at peace. The Galactic Council representatives arrived 3 days later. Their ship was enormous, a floating palace of gold and crystal that dwarfed the Academy's station. When they emerged, understood why so many species feared them. There were 5 representatives, each from one of the most powerful species in known space. The leader was called a being of shifting metals and cold eyes. When spoke, the temperature in the room seemed to drop. "Show us the human," commanded. Director led them to the fear chamber, walked behind the group, flanked by Dr. Bay and her alien friends. The students of the academy lined the corridors, watching in nervous silence. The fear chamber had been modified. The containment field was now surrounded by observation equipment and recording devices. Scientists from a dozen species monitored every reading. "Release the beast," ordered. The containment field opened. The fear beast emerged. But it did not look threatening. It had taken its small, dog-like form. Its dark fur was smooth, and its eyes were calm. It looked around the room, found, and walked directly to her. The council representatives stepped back in alarm. Guards raised their weapons, but the beast simply sat at its feet and looked up at her with trusting eyes. "Impossible," one of the representatives breathed. Moved closer, studying the beast with metallic eyes. This creature was designed to be uncontrollable. It was meant to reflect pure terror. How has a primitive species neutralized it? "With respect," said, her voice steady despite her fear, "I did not neutralize anything. I just treated it with kindness." "Kindness," made a sound like grinding metal. "Kindness is not a weapon. It does not win wars. It does not protect borders." "Maybe that is why it worked," replied. "The beast was made to be feared. Every being it ever met was afraid of it or wanted to control it. No one ever just accepted it." Turned to face her fully. Felt the weight of that gaze like a physical pressure. "Explain yourself, human. Tell us what makes your species so different." Took a deep breath. She thought about her grandmother. She thought about the wolves that became dogs. She thought about every scared animal she had ever comforted on her family's farm. "On my planet," she began, "we have a long history of fear. We were not the strongest creatures. We were not the fastest. Predators hunted us. The weather tried to kill us. Other humans tried to hurt us. We had every reason to be afraid all the time." She looked down at the beast, which pressed closer to her leg. "But somewhere along the way, we learned something important. Fear keeps you alive, but it does not let you live. If we only ran from scary things, we would never have explored. We would never have built. We would never have grown." "So you ignore fear?" another representative asked. "No, we feel it. We feel it deeply, but we learn that some things are more important than being safe: connection, love, understanding. Sometimes the scariest thing in the room is just something that needs a friend. She knelt down and put her hand on the beast's head. It closed its eyes and leaned into her touch. This creature spent 300 years being feared. Every being who looked at it saw a monster. But when I looked at it, I saw something lonely, something hurt, something that just wanted someone to not run away for once. "And you did not run," said slowly. "I could not, because I know what it feels like to be alone. I know what it feels like to want someone to understand you. When I saw the beast, I did not see a weapon. I saw myself." The room was silent. Even the machines seemed to hold their breath. Was quiet for a long time. The metallic body shifted and flowed, and when it spoke again, the voice was different, softer. 300 years ago, my species created this creature. We designed it to be the ultimate test of psychological strength. We thought that facing your fears would make you stronger. Looked at the beast, then at. We never considered that facing your fears might mean accepting them. That strength might come not from conquering terror, but from showing compassion to the things that terrify you. Director stepped forward. "What is the council's decision?" Was silent for another moment. Then the metal being made a sound that might have been a sigh. "The fear beast will no longer be used as a psychological weapon. Its future will be studied in conjunction with human psychological research." And Park held her breath. Park will remain at the academy as a special liaison. Her understanding of fear and compassion may teach us all something important. Relief washed through like warm water. She felt Dr. Bay's hand on her shoulder. She heard and making sounds of celebration behind her. The beast looked up at her and made a happy sound. Its tail wagged faster than she had ever seen. "You need a name," said softly. "I cannot keep calling you beast." She thought for a moment, then she smiled. She said, "It means shadow in my language, because you are like a shadow that finally found its light." Barked happily and jumped up to lick her face. 1 month later, walked through the academy courtyard with at her side. Students who once avoided her now stopped to say hello. Some even reached down to pet, who accepted the attention with calm dignity. Fell into step beside her. "You know, when you first arrived, I thought humans were weak and strange. What do you think now?" Made his laughing sound. "I still think you are strange, but weak. No, you are something else entirely. You are dangerous in ways we never expected." Appeared on her other side. "Dangerous because you make us care about things we never thought about before." "Is that bad?" asked. "No," said. "I think it might save us all." That night sat by her window and looked at the stars. Was curled at her feet, sleeping peacefully. Somewhere out there, Earth was spinning. Her family was living their lives. The universe was vast and mysterious and sometimes frightening. But for the first time since leaving home, did not feel afraid. She reached down and stroked dark fur. The beast made a contented sound in its sleep. "Fear is not the end of the story," she whispered. "It is just the beginning." Outside, the stars turned slowly, and somewhere in the academy, a species that had spent centuries studying terror began to learn something new. They began to learn about kindness. They began to learn about humans. And they began to understand that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is not fight your fear. Sometimes the bravest thing is to sit down beside it, offer your hand and say, "I see you, and I am not afraid." Shifted in his sleep, pressing closer to his feet. His dark body rose and fell with peaceful breaths. The fear beast had found its home. And humanity had found something precious too. A friend among the stars.